Hello everybody, it's us.
Hi.
So we promised like last week that we were going to talk about Leia's ABA and our journey, I could talk, to getting ABA and how we feel about it now. Or something, right?
Yes. Pretty
So here we are in the car. This seems to be the only time that we are able to sit and talk together. Leia's singing in the background.
And right now we're on our way to my friend's 40th birthday party.
Yup. Anyway, so where should we start?
Should we start with her diagnosis at the beginning?
Sure. So, should we talk about, I don't think we even talked about how we came to having her diagnosed.
No, we didn't. That's why I said, should we start at the beginning?
Okay, so the very, very beginning, want to tell how we decided to get Leia
Sure.
diagnosed without being too crazy?
So, the very beginning, I started getting concerned back in August last year when we went camping with Heather's family, and there was another boy there who's a few months older than Leia, like 3 months older, and he was able to interact with her cousin and sit still, listen to his mom when she called her name, and I'm like, okay, maybe it's just a speech delay, but something feels off. And we're like, okay, we'll give it a few months, maybe she'll catch up because he's 3 months older, like maybe it's because he's in daycare, who knows. So then one day we were at my mom's house, and a few months later, like September? Like maybe a month later, okay? So, Leia and I are at my mom's house, and my mom was trying to give her cookies. And my mom kept saying, Leia, say please. And she wouldn't say please, but she was giving me kisses, which in her way is how she was saying please. So I knew what she meant, but my mom's like, no, she needs to say the word. And I'm like, Mom, you know, you're going to upset her really bad. And of course, Leia got upset because she's giving me kisses. In her mind, she's saying please. And I know that, and I'm trying to give her cookies because I'm like, no, she's saying please. She just doesn't use it verbally. So then my mom, after that day, went and talked to some of her coworkers because she works for adult education, and they have an adults with autism program at their school. So she talked to some of her coworkers, and they're like, yeah, it seems like she's on the scale of the spectrum. You should really have her diagnosed. And then my mom went online and took this thing called the MCHAT test, which is the legitimate test that they use to diagnose autism. And she took it, and it came back with a at risk for autism. And so she called, which my mom never calls me. I always have to call her. And my mom called me, and I'm like, hey Mom, what's up? And she's like, so you need to have Leia diagnosed for autism. And it was just like super out of the blue. So Heather got really pissed off. She was feeling really not great about the interaction.
I just feel like she could have, sorry about the lighting, like she could have, anyway, she could have gone about it in a more delicate way.
My mom is not a delicate person, and she just tends to do things in a way that most people would not do.
I just think if you are concerned about somebody's child, you should maybe tell them, maybe in person, or if you're going to call, whatever, that's fine. But don't just call and be like, hey, I think your daughter's autistic. Like, you know, that's just what I think. Like, I would never do that.
It was not a great interaction. And I really don't like this angle on my face.
My arm is getting so tired already. It's only been 4 minutes.
Oh my god. So anyway, so that interaction was not great. So then Heather calls her friend who's an ABA therapist and is like, oh my god, Jenny's mom said this. Can you believe this? And she's like, well, actually, I've been trying to think of a way to tell you that I think you should have her tested.
Yeah, she's an ABA therapist, and yeah. So I don't personally know how long she was sitting on that, but I do wish that she had told us sooner, because
we could have gotten our services earlier.
Yeah, we could have had her diagnosed earlier and stuff. But, you know, whatever, can't change it now. So what we did was we have another friend.
I have a friend who's a speech pathologist specifically for babies, and I had been talking to her back and forth already about Leia's speech. So she gave me the information to contact the regional center just because they do speech therapy programs there. And so she's like, contact them. They'll be able to help you with speech therapy. So I'm like, okay, cool. And then they were able to diagnose her for autism.
Sorry, it's so wiggly. I'm like trying to figure out some way to do this and not hold my...
What happened to your tripod?
It's under my chair. It's like such a good spot for it right now.
She's very useful.
Anyway, so we took her to the regional center. They did the testing. They gave us the diagnosis right away that she was in fact autistic.
And it was a child psychologist who actually diagnosed her. So it is a legit diagnosis. It's not just a we feel kind of thing.
Yeah. So from there, they're like, well, we told them that we would have rather had speech in home because we have heard that doing services in home is best because, you know, your child is in a familiar place and they just usually do better. But nobody would come to our house, so we ended up having to do speech in
Walnut Creek.
In Walnut Creek, which is like about a half hour from our house. Leia is very excited back there. She just loves going to speech. Anyway, so that happened pretty quick. I think we started like in November or December.
November.
Like the end of November, I think. I don't remember. But yeah, so we started doing that. And then they could not find anyone who wanted to work with us for ABA. So that took a really long time. We didn't start till March.
Yeah, March.
So that's not, we've only been doing it for like not even about almost 2 months now. Leia has been in ABA. Leia, what are you talking about? Star! Sorry.
Do you see a star, baby?
Anyway, so this is really hard with her yelling. So no, let's come back later. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what you're saying. I love you. So wiggly. Alright, I think she stopped yelling now. I don't know. Anyway, what were we saying? Oh yeah, so nobody would come to our house. And we don't know if it was because of where we are.
I think it's because of where we are.
But the girl who is Leia's ABA therapist actually mentioned something about Leia's age is actually a discouragement for companies, which is fucking stupid because you're supposed to get them interventions like as early as possible. So what, she's too young for you to work with? That's just dumb, right?
Yeah.
Stupid.
But the reason it's a discouragement isn't because they're incapable of learning at that age. It's because services with the regional center cuts off at the age of 3.
Yeah.
So if they take a child at the age of 2, they only get a year paid, and so they feel like it's a waste of their time. They would rather go for a kid over 3 who insurance is paying for it, so it's a longevity kind of thing.
Yeah. But, alright, so now we get to talk about how we feel ABA is going for Leia. We hate it. We told them we wanted the Early Start Denver model, which is play-based ABA and the most appropriate for her age and for most children. And they were like, oh, well, you know, Leia would probably benefit from table time. And we were like, well, you know, whatever, a little bit of table time is fine. But we told them that's what we wanted. We told the regional center. And then when the company that finally agreed to do our services, when they first came to our house, we told them we want early start Denver model. And they're like, oh, okay, blah, blah, blah. I looked on their website.
Yeah, at first they said it was no problem.
Yeah, they're like, oh yeah, got it. And we went on their website and I saw that they offer the early start Denver model. And I guess, okay, so from doing my own reading, I've discovered once a child turns 2, then it's just called the Denver model because it's only early start if it's before they're 2. So Leia's already 2. So now it would just be the Denver model. I haven't quite figured out what the difference is. Maybe it's just like a slight difference in the method, for slightly older kids, but it's still play-based ABA. They are not doing that. Leia has been sitting at a table doing these stupid tasks for like 2 to 3 hours a day, Monday through Friday.
And she's bored. You can see it on her face.
So bored. I'm gonna go ahead and insert some videos. I hope you don't mind.
That's fine.
I do have a couple of videos that I've taken quite a few videos, but I'm just gonna insert these 2 that I took on Friday. Maybe I'll pick another one from another day when you can see she's really frustrated, because she actually did pretty well on Friday. But the thing is, she does a really good job, I think, sitting at a table for her age. She's 2.5 now, and yeah, she tries to get up, but not very often.
Well, and we don't have a problem with her being an active kid, because when we go to restaurants or stuff, because there's an incentive to sit down, food, she loves food, she will sit down and she'll be still. If there's a movie on that she's really interested in, she will sit down and be still. I can't talk. If she's being played with, like I've sat on the floor and played with her for stuff, and she just sits on the floor and plays with me.
If you're reading to her,
she will sit still. Yeah, if you're reading to her,
she'll even sit in front of her bookshelf and pull down one book at a time and read. I don't know if she's actually reading or not. Probably just looking at pictures and words, but go through her books one at a time.
Your arms in my way.
Jenny's trying to drive.
Sorry, there was an accident. I gotta change lanes.
Oh.
Sorry.
Anyway, so Leia will sit and pay attention if she's interested in what you're doing and how you're doing it.
Yeah, the few times they came over before services started, she wasn't interested in them at all because they weren't trying to interact with her. They were just trying to watch her play. So she was running around, playing like a 2-year-old.
Yeah.
He was tired.
But yeah, so they're like, oh well, blah blah blah. She can't pay attention. We can't. It has to be at a table, or else she'll try to get away. And that's the other thing that was pissing me off. There were a couple days where Leia was getting like especially frustrated and just did not want to be doing ABA.
Yeah.
And the ABA therapist, that's what we keep calling them, but my friend says they're not actually therapists. Sorry, wiggly.
The behavioral aid.
She stopped giving Leia breaks when she would ask for them. So she has a piece of paper that says break on it, and she puts it where Leia can see it for the most part. And so when Leia wants a break, she picks it up and gives it to the chick.
And it's supposed to be, as long as she is asking appropriately, meaning handing the card over, they will give her a break.
Yeah.
But she was completely ignoring her because she's like, oh, I think if I give you a break, you're not going to come back to the table.
She's like, oh, I'm afraid you're not going to come back. It's like, that's not how it works. She's asking you for a break. You're supposed to give her a break, dude. She's obviously over it. Sorry, this road is so fucking bumpy. Can you? That's how I feel. Anyway, wow, sunny.
You're doing that does not help, Heather.
I know. Anyway, so
as you can tell, talking about this makes Heather a little agitated.
Yeah. I'm a little pissed. This is not what I was expecting for ABA. I thought she was going to be getting play-based ABA and having best time of her freaking life, playing every day, learning new stuff. But instead, she's sitting at a table for 2 to 3 hours, stacking blocks and sorting colors and getting fucking treats for everything like a dog.
Yeah, they asked if it, at first it was okay to use food as an incentive. When we agreed to that, we didn't realize that it was going to be for everything. So
Like-
it's seriously like, can you freeze it just Jesus.
My arm is tired.
It'll be like, Leia, do this. Here's your goldfish. Leia, look at me. Here's your goldfish. It's like,
Yeah.
she's not a dog.
No. And then they started using chocolate, which is definitely more motivating than goldfish, but it's just like an M&M, but still, it's just not, this is not it. This is not what we wanted. And I don't feel like, we feel like all she's learning is what she needs to get done to get a treat and get away from that freaking table already.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I mean, it's great that she can sort her colors. I think that's really really good.
But she was doing that before we started.
Yeah, she already knew her colors and stuff. She was getting better at eye contact, but I feel like that's just because she's getting better at eye contact. Not because they're teaching her how to look at their eye with a freaking goldfish cracker between them. Like, it's stupid. Anyway, so we're not happy. That's what basically we came on here to say.
And I've read some articles written by autistic adults that say that they feel like they were abused as a child because of having to go through this.
Yeah.
So it's really discouraging because we don't want her to ever feel that way.
No. So, it's been, I've been reading the Early Start Denver Model Manual, and my friend is trying to teach us how to do Early Start Denver Model things with Leia ourselves, so that you know, she will maybe start actually learning something besides how to stack a block and look at you for a cracker. I don't know. We'll see. We have
Which
a lot.
it's not like she's even learning how to play with blocks, because if she plays with blocks without it being in session, she's not stacking them. She's doing what she was doing before, so it's not even like they're teaching her anything.
Yeah. It's later, after our party. All right, so we're gonna pick up where we left off. So yeah, we talked to our caseworker at the regional center about how we're feeling about ABA, and also we had talked to, we had talked to a couple of our friends who are in ABA, and they actually suggested quitting ABA.
Yeah.
And doing maybe more speech. But after talking to the regional center caseworker, she said it's like almost impossible to get more speech. So we're not exactly sure what we're gonna do yet, but
We're thinking
2 miles. Continue on
Sorry,
I-5 south.
serious talking. We're thinking of talking to the head supervisor for the ABA team that works with us and letting him know how we feel and see if maybe then we'll see some changes, since talking to the supervisor and the behavioral assistant has not done anything.
yeah. Because even though we talk to them, they're still doing everything at the table or at a chair.
Their idea of play-based is having her sitting in a chair instead of at a table.
Yeah. So yeah, that's where we stand right now.
It's frustrating.
If you have any suggestions, like experience with this, and you live in California, because honestly, it's different everywhere, let us know. And we would greatly appreciate it. What you did to get what you wanted for your child.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where we are with ABA, and hopefully we will have better news soon, better ABA soon. So yeah, that's all we have to say, right?
I think so.
Alright, so if you have any questions, please feel free to ask us.
We're very open.
Yeah, we will do answer questions, so let us know. And thanks for watching.
Bye.
Hopefully we'll have a more fun vlog later.
Hopefully.
Alright, bye.
Do this. Yay!
Good job. Yay! Good job. Woohoo! Yay, Leah! Good job. Woo! Ooh, chocolate. Try again. Good job. Yay! Oh, try again. Good job. Yes. Leave them. Hey. I wish maybe if I was behind her and I held her hands there and then do this, if she would just. Ready? Ready? We like that? Ready? Do this. Okay. Put in. Good job. Look. Good job. That's for you. No. Break. Break.